All right, today we're going to dive into something, well, pretty wild. It's a really radical vision for labor reform in South Korea. And get this, the whole idea hinges not on new laws or big policies, but on changing just one single powerful word.
So this is the statement that kicks the whole thing off. In the Republic of Korea, there are no laborers. I mean, what? On the surface, that sounds completely absurd, right? But to even begin to understand what's behind this, we've got to look at a really unique diagnosis of modern Korean society.
Okay, so first up, the intellectual nation. The whole argument starts from this idea that the way we even talk about work is totally obsolete. The source claims that Korea has poured so much into education that it's created a completely new kind of workforce. The problem? Our language just hasn't caught up.
So let's zero in on the word at the heart of all this, laborer, or 노동자 in Korean. According to the source we're looking at, this term specifically means someone who works just to survive. That's it. The argument is that this word is a total relic, a throwback to a time of widespread ignorance, a label for someone who's just trading their time for food on the table, with no bigger purpose in mind.
And this is where the core claim comes in. The argument goes that because of decades of investment in education, pretty much all Koreans are now what the source calls jishigin, intellectuals. The entire population has been elevated, right? But the words we use and the respect that comes with them, well, they have been left behind. So, if they're not laborers, then what are they? To find a practical answer, the proposal looks at Korea's biggest company as a kind of case study.
All right, next up, the Samsung model. So yeah, the proposal uses a huge real-world example. Samsung. The thinking is, hey, if the #1 corporation in the country can make this work, then maybe the rest of the nation, and who knows, maybe even the world, could follow suit.
So the source breaks down Samsung's history into these 3 big stages. First, you have the founder, Lee Byung-chul. He's the one who established the core ideology. Then his son, Lee Kun-hee, took that ideology and achieved this massive global expansion. But now the argument goes, the third-generation leader, Lee Jae-young, is facing a completely different challenge. It's all about operation. I mean, think about it. How do you run a global giant that's filled not with laborers, but with highly educated intellectuals? The old ways, that top-down style, the source says it's just broken.
Okay, so this leads us to the big solution, from laborer to researcher. And this is really the heart of the whole proposal. It's all about a fundamental shift in identity, and it's deceptively simple. Replace the title laborer with researcher.
And wow, look at this comparison. It really lays it all out. On the one hand, you've got the laborer, who's described here as a kind of modern slave, totally bound by the clock, just working to get by with all their real wisdom and potential locked away. But then you have the researcher, or Young-gwon. This person is seen as a respected member of a family, someone who acts for the good of society. For them, the clock doesn't even matter because they're driven by purpose. Their wisdom just flows.
Now, what's really key here is that this isn't just for the PhDs in the R&D lab. No, the idea is that everyone becomes a researcher. So the person on the cleaning staff, they're now a beautification researcher, studying how to create the perfect environment. The security guard, a security researcher analyzing the best safety protocols. You see the pattern? The whole point is that every single employee is treated as a respected expert, a contributor to this one big mission.
And the results they predict from this? They're huge. The source claims that this foundation of mutual respect just changes everything. Suddenly, this whole idea of a mandatory 52-hour work week, it just becomes obsolete. And not because people are being forced to work longer hours. It's because researchers are driven by their mission, not by a time clock. Innovation just happens because work becomes passion. The company's job isn't to manage hours anymore, it's to support the research.
And of course, the vision here is much bigger than just one company. This leads us to the ripple effect. The ultimate goal is to start a chain reaction, one that begins in Korea and, well, spreads all over the world.
And the roadmap they lay out is pretty ambitious, to say the least. Okay, step 1. Samsung puts this researcher system in place, and according to the source, all its internal labor disputes just disappear. Step 2. Other big Korean companies see how well it's working, and they all follow suit. And then, the final step, this new Korean model becomes the new global standard for how to run a company.
So in the end, the ambition is just massive. It's for Korea to lead the world, but not just with technology like chips and phones. No, the idea is to export a whole new corporate philosophy, a model that truly respects the mind of every single employee and, in the view of the source, actually contributes to global prosperity and, believe it or not, peace.
Which really brings us back to this one powerful question.
I mean, the entire argument we've just walked through, it all comes down to the belief that words, that names, have incredible power. The idea that calling someone a laborer actually holds them back, while calling them a researcher could unleash their true potential. So, what do you think? Is this just naive idealism, or is there a really profound insight here? Can changing a single word really truly alter the destiny of an entire society? It's definitely a fascinating idea to think about.